In November 1983, a young man named Carl Stenbeck stopped to help a stranded driver in the parking lot of Churchill, Manitoba. He never made it to the other car. A polar bear, drawn into town by the smell of meat from a burned-out building, attacked him in the open. He was the second person killed by a polar bear in Churchill in 15 years. The bear was tranquilized and relocated. The town subsequently built a holding facility, sometimes called the Polar Bear Jail, where problem bears are now kept until the sea ice forms and they can be released back onto the bay. Polar bears are one of the only large land carnivores on Earth that will actively hunt humans as prey. They are also one of 8 apex predators that live in Canadian wilderness, in landscapes ranging from temperate rainforest to Arctic tundra to the open Pacific. Some of these animals are famous worldwide. Others are barely known outside the regions they patrol. All of them are formidable in ways that the suburbs of Canadian cities make easy to forget. Here are 8. The grizzly bear is the most iconic large predator in Canada, and the reputation is earned. Grizzlies are found across British Columbia, Alberta, the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and parts of Nunavut. Adult bears weigh anywhere from 180 to over 360 kilograms, with particularly large males in coastal British Columbia, sometimes exceeding 450 kilograms, thanks to diets rich in Pacific salmon. Adult grizzlies stand roughly 1.2 meters at the shoulder on all fours and can reach nearly 3 meters when upright. Their claws can measure up to 10 centimeters, designed primarily for digging, but capable of delivering devastating force. They can run at 56 kilometers per hour over short distances. Their sense of smell is among the sharpest of any land mammal on the planet, sensitive enough to locate a carcass from more than 30 kilometers away. Their memory is sharp enough that individual bears recognize specific food sources, return to them at exactly the right season year after year, and appear to recognize individual humans they have encountered before. In British Columbia's Great Bear Rainforest, grizzlies fish thousands of salmon out of the streams each fall, eating tens of thousands of calories per day during the hyperphagia period before denning. In Alberta, grizzlies occupy the eastern slopes of the Rockies and the foothills around Banff and Jasper National Parks. Parks Canada issues bear activity advisories throughout the warmer months because of regular encounters with hikers. Grizzlies are not naturally aggressive toward humans. They are fiercely defensive of their young and their food sources. A sow with cubs in a forested drainage is among the most dangerous situations a hiker in the Canadian Rockies can encounter. Most grizzly attacks on humans are defensive, not predatory. The bear is trying to make a threat go away, not eat it. That distinction matters because it shapes the survival strategy. Playing dead works for defensive grizzly attacks. It does not work for the predator in the next section. The grizzly is the most iconic. The polar bear is the largest. The polar bear occupies the top of the marine food chain across Arctic Canada and is the largest land carnivore on Earth by body mass. Adult males typically weigh between 350 and 700 kilograms, though exceptional individuals exceed 800. Unlike the grizzly, the polar bear is an almost purely carnivorous predator. Its diet consists primarily of ringed seals and bearded seals, hunted at sea ice breathing holes or shoreline haul-out sites. Polar bears are remarkable swimmers. One documented female covered 687 kilometers across open water over 9 days in 2008. Their dense, water-repellent fur and thick subcutaneous fat allow them to remain at sea for periods that would kill any other large mammal. There are 19 recognized polar bear subpopulations globally. 13 of them are found in Canada, which means Canada is home to roughly 2/3 of the world's polar bears. The western Hudson Bay population near Churchill, Manitoba, is the most studied of the 13 and the most accessible to non-scientific visitors. Each autumn, hundreds of bears congregate on the coast, waiting for the bay to freeze, drawing tourists from across the world. What makes polar bears uniquely dangerous to humans is the simple fact that they will hunt people. Most large predators avoid us when possible. The polar bear, an ambush hunter that has evolved to wait motionless at a seal's breathing hole for hours before striking, sees a human as potential food, particularly during the long ice-free summer months when the bears cannot reach their normal seal prey. Communities like Arviat and Rankin Inlet in Nunavut operate active polar bear monitoring programs. Children walk to school with adults. Schools have unlocked door policies, so anyone caught outside can dive into the nearest shelter. Climate change is reducing the period each year when polar bears can hunt seals on sea ice, shortening the window in which they can build the fat reserves they need to survive the ice-free season. Some populations have already shown measurable declines in body weight and reproductive success. The bears that walk through Churchill each autumn are increasingly hungry by the time they arrive. The polar bear hunts alone. The next predator on this list hunts in groups, and it has reshaped entire ecosystems doing so. The grey wolf has the largest range of any apex predator in Canada. Wolves are found from Vancouver Island to Newfoundland, with the densest populations in the boreal forest zones of Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. Large Canadian grey wolves can weigh approaching 60 kilograms, with the Mackenzie Valley subspecies among the largest wolves in the world. Wolves hunt in packs that typically range from 5 to 12 individuals, though packs of over 20 have been documented in the north. Their primary prey across most of Canada includes white-tailed deer, moose, caribou, and elk. They are capable of bringing down prey many times their own body weight through coordinated pursuit, cooperative attack, and an ability to read terrain and prey behavior that researchers are still working to fully understand. Pack structure is fundamentally familial, not hierarchical in the way older wildlife documentaries suggested. A wild wolf pack is typically a breeding pair and their offspring from 1 or 2 years, not a group of unrelated wolves competing for dominance. The breeding pair leads the pack through experience and communication, not through aggression. Wolves vocalize in barks, growls, whines, and the famous howl, which functions as both a location signal between separated pack members and a form of social bonding. Individual wolves have recognizable voice characteristics, meaning pack members can identify specific individuals over long distances. In Wood Buffalo National Park, straddling the Alberta and Northwest Territories border, one of the last free-roaming bison herds on Earth is hunted almost exclusively by wolves. The wolves of Wood Buffalo have developed specialized techniques for hunting bison that have been passed down through generations of packs, predator-prey knowledge accumulated across centuries without significant human interference. Wolf attacks on humans in North America are extraordinarily rare. There are documented cases, including a 2005 fatal attack near Points North Landing, Saskatchewan, but they remain statistical outliers. Wolves generally avoid humans. What makes them ecologically dangerous is not their threat to people, but their effect on prey populations. The return of wolves to Banff National Park in the 1980s produced measurable changes in elk behavior, riparian vegetation, and entire ecosystem dynamics. Remove wolves from a landscape, and the landscape itself changes. That's the kind of predator they are. Wolves run prey down in packs across enormous distances. The next predator does the opposite. It waits. The cougar is Canada's largest wildcat and one of the most efficient ambush predators on the continent. In Canada, cougars are primarily found in British Columbia, with smaller populations in Alberta and occasional confirmed sightings in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. British Columbia's population is estimated at 3,500 to 5,000 individuals, one of the highest cougar densities anywhere in North America. Adult male cougars typically weigh between 60 and 90 kilograms, with lengths reaching 2.4 meters from nose to tail. They are solitary, territorial hunters that rely on stealth and explosive short-range speed rather than pursuit. A cougar hunting deer, its primary prey, will typically stalk to within 10 meters before launching an attack. It targets the base of the skull or the throat, aiming for an immediate kill. Cougars are also capable climbers and strong swimmers, and they cache large prey kills beneath debris to return and feed across several days. On Vancouver Island, cougar density is among the highest recorded anywhere on Earth. The island's human population coexists with these animals in a proximity that produces multiple close encounters every year. Cougar attacks on humans in Canada are rare but not unknown. and Vancouver Island has recorded a disproportionate number of incidents. What makes cougar attacks different from grizzly or polar bear encounters is the absence of warning. A cougar will not bluff charge. It will not stand up and pose. By the time most attack victims realize a cougar is there, the cat is already in motion. Vancouver Island wildlife officers respond to cougar reports with a layered approach of hazing, relocation, and lethal removal when an animal has lost its avoidance of humans. The cougars that survive long-term in the population are the ones that never appear in those reports at all. The cougar is the most efficient ambush predator in Canada. The next animal is its smaller, more elusive cousin. The Canada lynx is the country's other native wildcat, smaller than the cougar, but a specialized predator in its own right. Lynx are found across most of the boreal forest zone, from Yukon and Northwest Territories, down through every province except Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and the southernmost parts of Ontario. Adult lynx weigh between 8 and 14 kilograms, with the distinctive long ear tufts, short tail, and oversized paws that allow them to move across deep snow. The lynx is one of the most habitat-specific predators in Canada. It is almost entirely dependent on a single prey species, the snowshoe hare. Lynx populations rise and fall in nearly perfect synchrony with the hare population cycle, which peaks roughly every 10 years. During hare peaks, lynx populations expand dramatically. During hare crashes, lynx populations collapse alongside them. The 10-year lynx-hare cycle is one of the most studied predator-prey relationships in ecology and one of the cleanest examples of population dynamics in the wild anywhere on the planet. Lynx hunt at night, ambushing hares from cover or running them down in short sprints across deep snow where the lynx's enormous paws give them a critical advantage over almost any other predator. They are essentially invisible. The fur is camouflage. The movement is silent. Researchers who have studied lynx for years describe spending entire seasons in active lynx habitat without ever seeing one. The lynx is not dangerous to humans. There are no documented fatal lynx attacks in Canada. The reason the species is on this list is what it represents. The lynx is an indicator of healthy boreal forest. Where lynx populations are stable, the surrounding ecosystem is generally intact. Where lynx are declining, something larger is going wrong. Lynx prey on hares. The next predator prey on almost anything else it can find. The wolverine is arguably the most ferocious predator in Canada relative to its size, and one of the least understood large carnivores in North America. Wolverines weigh between 10 and 18 kilograms, but they regularly drive wolves and black bears off kills, and there are documented accounts of wolverines confronting and displacing grizzly bears from carcasses. This ferocity is backed by serious physical equipment. Wolverines have extremely dense frost-resistant fur. They have semi-retractable claws designed for climbing steep rocky terrain and snow. Their rear ankle joints rotate, allowing them to climb down trees head first. Their jaws generate crushing force strong enough to shear through frozen meat and bone, which means wolverines can consume frozen carcasses that other predators have to abandon during deep winter. Wolverines require enormous home ranges. Adult males patrol territories of 600 to over 1,000 square kilometers in remote wilderness. They are found across northern Canada from the Yukon and Northwest Territories through the boreal zones of all the western provinces, with smaller populations in parts of Ontario and Quebec. In British Columbia's mountainous interior, wolverines are closely tied to deep, persistent snowpack, which they require for denning. Because of their vast territorial needs and sensitivity to human disturbance, wolverines are an indicator species for the health of large wilderness ecosystems. Where wolverines persist, the ecosystem is intact at a scale that supports almost everything else. Where wolverines have disappeared, the wilderness has been fragmented enough that very little else of large size can persist either. Tracking wolverines in the Canadian backcountry requires enormous effort. They move constantly, cover vast distances every day, and avoid human presence with a consistency that makes direct observation rare, even for researchers working specifically on wolverine studies. Most wildlife biologists who have spent careers in wolverine habitat have seen a wild wolverine only a handful of times. The wolverine is the most overlooked land predator in Canada. The most overlooked marine predator is much larger and lives in a different element entirely. The orca, also called the killer whale, is the apex predator of the Pacific coast of Canada and one of the most cognitively complex predators on the planet. 3 distinct ecotypes of orca operate in Canadian waters off British Columbia, each functioning almost as a separate species, despite sharing the same body plan. Resident orcas, divided into the northern and southern resident populations, eat exclusively Chinook salmon and other fish. Transient, or Biggs orcas, hunt marine mammals, including seals, sea lions, porpoises, and other whales. Offshore orcas live further out and appear to specialize in sharks, including Pacific sleeper sharks several meters long. Adult male orcas reach 9 meters in length and 6,000 kilograms in weight. Females are smaller, but generally outlive males by decades. Orcas hunt cooperatively, communicate in dialects unique to each pod, and pass hunting techniques down through generations. Transient pods off Vancouver Island have been documented using coordinated wave washing techniques to knock seals off ice floes, a behavior that requires planning, role specialization, and clear communication between pod members. There are no recorded fatal attacks by wild orcas on humans anywhere on Earth, despite the species hunting prey larger than any human. That absence is itself significant. The most intelligent and capable marine predator in the world apparently does not consider humans worth attacking, which says more about orca discrimination than about human capability. Orcas are at the top of the marine food chain on the Pacific coast, in the same way polar bears are at the top of the Arctic food chain. They face similar pressures. The southern resident population, dependent on declining Chinook salmon runs in the Salish Sea, has been listed as endangered since 2005 and currently numbers fewer than 75 individuals. Their survival is now considered uncertain on a generational timescale. The final predator on this list is the one most Canadians have actually encountered, and the one most likely to encounter you. The black bear is by far the most widespread large carnivore in Canada. Population estimates range from 380,000 to 450,000 individuals, distributed across every province and territory except Prince Edward Island. Adult males average between 60 and 180 kilograms, smaller than grizzlies, but still capable of generating force that no human can match. Black bears are highly intelligent, capable of solving complex problems and remembering solutions across multiple years. They learn what works for accessing food in cottage country, and they remember which campsites store coolers improperly. Their broad omnivorous diet allows them to thrive across an enormous variety of habitats. In Newfoundland, where wolves are absent and grizzlies have never been present, black bears occupy the apex predator role for many prey species and have developed notably bold behavior relative to populations elsewhere. During salmon runs in coastal British Columbia, black bears congregate along the same spawning streams as grizzlies. The two species maintain a clear hierarchy. Grizzlies dominate the most productive fishing spots. Black bears take the leftovers. Black bears are responsible for the majority of bear-human incidents in Canada, simply because of their numbers and their adaptability to landscapes altered by people. Logging roads, cottage country, campgrounds, and berry patches near subdivisions all create zones of overlap where bears and humans regularly meet. Most encounters are uneventful. Most black bears flee. But predatory attacks on humans by black bears do occur. They are rare on a per-encounter basis and almost always involve a lone bear, often a young male, treating a human as potential prey. Playing dead does not work in predatory black bear attacks. Fighting back does. What connects these 8 predators is what connects all functioning ecosystems on Earth. Without apex predators, prey populations grow unchecked. Vegetation communities shift. Other species lose habitat. The forests, tundra, mountains, and coastal waters of Canada are still the wild places they have been for thousands of years, partly because these animals are still there, doing the same work they have done for that entire time. That condition is increasingly rare globally. Most countries lost their large predators decades or centuries ago. Canada still has them because most of the country is too cold, too remote, or too logistically demanding for human development to have reached. The wilderness has protected the predators. The predators, in turn, have kept the wilderness from becoming something less than wild. If you spend time in the Canadian backcountry, you are sharing space with at least one of these animals, whether you ever see it or not. Most never see you either. Both of you are usually better off that way. Thank you for joining me on this look at Canada's most formidable predators. Whether you've spotted a black bear in cottage country, watched orcas from a ferry deck in the Strait of Georgia, or just had no idea so many large carnivores were still operating across this country, I hope this gave you a clearer picture of what is actually out there. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you never miss out on future explorations of the places, the landscapes, and the stories that make Canada what it is. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these predators have you encountered in the wild, and which one would you most want to see in person from a safe distance? I read every comment. Until next time, take care and keep exploring.